Fernando Alonso returns to an F1 car, while the sport reconsiders reverse grid qualifying races. You can now watch full 24-minute episodes of The Inside Line at our new home on unbeaten.com. Renault is again revolving around two-time F1 world champion Fernando Alonso, with the Spaniard in Barcelona last week to get back behind the wheel of a Grand Prix car for the first time since April 2019. It was a short but sweet experience with just 21 laps or 100 kilometers completed, given filming day limitations, and at the same track where he made his F1 debut 20 years ago for former Enstone iteration Benetton. And the 39-year-old was buoyant in the aftermath, with potential there for him to unlock in the race towards his 2021 return.
In the car, it was a nice surprise. We know that the car is performing well in the last couple of races, so I felt a good grip, good potential on it. Also the engine, the last time I drove the Renault engine was in 2018, and I think the step forward is quite important there. So, everything felt good, and maybe I was not able to maximize the performance of the car because I'm not up to speed yet, but happy with the day.
Chase Carey, Formula One's chairman and CEO, has again said that reverse grid qualifying races are back on the negotiating table, but that it will be a group decision, not forced on the sport. The idea was shot down in June, with Mercedes opposed. But Carey told Beyond the Grid, the official F1 podcast, that it's still on the agenda as one idea that could inject fresh energy into the sport.
We're not going to dictate that. It's tee it up, talk about the pros and cons, have done the appropriate homework to what what we think again are the benefits and issues with it, and have an honest discussion with everybody.
Carey has often been criticized for not understanding the sport enough, but the 66-year-old knows what's important.
I think you have to be careful that you don't gimmick up the sport, that you are recognizing the importance of history and the importance of what has made this sport special, but not let that become a straitjacket that doesn't enable you to consider changes that may truly enhance the sport for fans.
Mercedes could wrap up the 2020 Constructors' Championship, a record 7th straight in Portugal, should it earn a 1-3 result on Sunday and rival Red Bull Racing fails to score. The Silver Arrows are 180 points ahead of Red Bull, but should it get the required result, it'll reach a 220-point gap, with the same amount available over the last 5 rounds. Its 7th championship would put it equal with Lotus, that won its titles between 1963 and 1978. Its last with Mario Andretti, whose crown built on his proudest achievement the previous year.
Probably winning the U.S. Grand Prix and the Italian Grand Prix the same year.
Mercedes 6-time F1 world champion Lewis Hamilton is also on a huge record run, with a 92nd win in Portugal, putting him one ahead of Michael Schumacher for the outright benchmark. Hanoi baffled the sport last week with the announcement the Vietnamese Grand Prix had been cancelled. Government red tape meaning the news arrived months after the 2020 calendar was finalized. F1 announced the completion of the calendar on August 25, a 17-round fixture with the addition of Turkey, 2 races in Bahrain, and the finale at Abu Dhabi's Yas Marina circuit. But the race was only cancelled on Friday, October 16, with time needed for the decision to be signed off by top-level officials. Hanoi remains a cornerstone of preparations for 2021. with Vietnam the first new event brought to the championship by Liberty Media.
Asia is clearly very important overall to our future. It's really important. It really is the driving engine of the world's future. So as we look to grow the sport in Asia, we want to be in countries that we really think are going to be the engines of growth and the engines of excitement. So we think Vietnam really captures people's interests, excitement.
AlphaTauri's Pierre Gasly says he has no idea when Red Bull will make a decision on whether to keep him for 2021, but hopes his run of top results will be taken into consideration. Gasly earned his maiden win at last month's Italian Grand Prix at Monza, taking maximum advantage of Lewis Hamilton's penalty misfortune. But in a chat with the Australian Grand Prix podcast In the Fast Lane, said all he can do is hope it will make a difference.
It's always difficult. It's not up to me. I just hope all these strong results will be rewarded. And in terms of timeline, I have no idea when Red Bull is going to make their decision.
Gasly is the only driver to take multiple podiums with Toro Rosso turned AlphaTauri, having been second in Brazil last year, and is rumored to be staying on at the Red Bull sister team with Honda protege Yuki Tsunoda, who is third in the F2 standings, enough to earn his super license. Staying with AlphaTauri and to its Faenza base, where Honda-backed F2 driver Yuki Tsunoda was last week for a seat fit in the AT01, ahead of his test at Classic Track Imola next month. The 20-year-old Japanese driver is on the cusp of joining the squad next year, his ascent unaffected by Honda's decision to leave the sport at the end of 2021. Tsunoda has taken 2 wins in F2 this year. Mercedes has its fingers crossed that failures on Valtteri Bottas's car at the Nürburgring that forced him to retire won't come back to haunt him at the next race with penalties in Portimao. Bottas now needs a miracle to close the 69-point gap to teammate Lewis Hamilton in the standings, with the team choosing to stop the Finn on lap 18 with concerns on his MGU-H, of which he's now on his third of 3 allocated before penalties kick in.
We felt that the system failure wasn't hardware, but actually electronic. And the sooner you stop it, the less damage you're going to do to any of the systems, and the more chance that we will take no penalties with Valtteri as a result. We've got a lot of checks to do, and we'll check the systems in Portimao.
Bottas's Eiffel race went downhill from lap 13 when he locked up into turn 1, letting Hamilton through into the lead, but had done everything right to that point, including pole position and an aggressive move at the start to lead into the first corner.
Through the steering wheel, he could put a default code in that may bring back parts of the hybrid system. It was clear, though, that it had failed completely even after the switch changes, and as a result, we boxed the car and stopped it.
Red Bull will make a final decision on which engine will power both it and sister squad AlphaTauri into F1's new era before the end of the year, with its designers needing to lock in crucial details. Red Bull's hopes to up its game and challenge Mercedes for titles hit the rocks earlier this month when Honda announced it would exit the sport at the end of 2021, throwing the operation into chaos. But talks have begun with existing suppliers, including Ferrari and Renault, with whom it had a fractious, albeit winning, relationship. The other option, a third-party supplier updating and rebadging Honda's PU. Red Bull, though, only has eyes for one thing: performance. We want to compete and we want to win world championships. That's the reason that Red Bull is in the sport. That's what it's here to do, and we can only do that with a competitive power unit, said Christian Horner. Thanks for watching. To stay up to speed on all things Formula One, make sure you hit the subscribe button.